Meanwhile, in the pod cave.
And welcome back to another edition of the Podmen. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
I'm Podman Ron.
And I'm Alex.
Alex, you're joining us here. I cannot wait to hear what special occasion has brought you back, young Podman.
I've just been watching a lot of shit, you know?
Wow.
Like literal shit and good shit. It's just like, just had a lot to say, have a lot to talk about.
Now,
I feel like I've missed out on a lot.
Now, watching literal shit means you're actually viewing defecation?
Yeah.
No, it's all figurative.
Scat videos.
Is that what we're reviewing now?
Place.
He's getting into scat.
Oh, boy. Well, our Brian's young listener will enjoy this.
It's a Reddit forum.
Yeah, obviously.
It's a forum.
Scat NSFW. All right. But this is starting off horribly.
And we're off.
PMR, you're on vacation, is what I'm understanding?
I'm on something like that.
A retreat?
Yeah, I'm on a retreat. I'm hanging out the Hilton Garden Inn in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow.
Sitting around the fire pit with an old-fashioned in his hand. A $17 old-fashioned.
For all you fans out here in Raleigh, North Carolina, if you want to come on down and
meet PMR, buy him a drink.
PMR, Raleigh, North Carolina, I am in you.
Come buy PMR a drink by the fire. Who knows what'll happen next? He's got a hotel room.
look at all these people around me.
Oh, if only you would turn the video on.
The crowd goes wild here. Look at this.
Obviously, yeah, the pod people are lining up.
They are. I've let my location known. Now it's really going to get crazy.
Yeah. You better be glad we're not live on this. Also, we understand not only are you on a retreat, but you sustained an injury. Was this on the retreat?
It was not. It was before the retreat, and I will just say it had something to do with an iPhone, a swimming pool, and my left shoulder. So,
wow.
Nope.
Wow.
Why can't you give the details?
We could say, and a bicycle. How's that?
A bicycle, a pool, an iPhone, and his left shoulder.
Use your imagination.
No, come on.
So,
from there.
From there, I can only imagine that he was looking up scat videos on his iPhone while walking by the pool, slipped, fell against the concrete, and dislocated his shoulder. That's my guess.
Where's the bike at?
Damn it.
How do you not tease it and then not tell us the story?
Because I would rather it be just left up to a listener's imagination.
Maybe we can have a contest out of this, Brian. People write a fan fiction story of how PMR busted his arm. I love this idea of a PMR fan fiction.
We can start a subreddit. PMR fan fictions.
Why not?
I like it. I like it a lot.
That makes sense, actually.
Where are you, Alex?
Alex is at Walmart, apparently.
Oh, my God.
Me and Walgreens just chilling out right now, you know? I just come here and hang here every Monday night.
Oh, great. Someone's coming out here.
Brian, should we just wrap this up and then you and I will hop on the line a little bit later? Give me about 5 minutes.
What?
Just wrap it. Just shut it down.
Oh, PMR. Absolute Alex. All right, well, you know what? Enough of this nonsense, because I know we've got a little bit of something to talk about in the news. What was that, PMR?
They faded out on me.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we'll be okay. Brian, tell us what's going on in the news. I know there was a little bit of controversy caused by just a cover of a magazine. Caused a little bit of controversy and consternation amongst the podmen.
Yeah, there's opinion, but Empire Magazine released their cover this week, the Black Panther, or Wakanda Forever Black Panther. And it's got Angela Bassett, as T'Challa's mom. It's got Shuri in the foreground.
Excellent.
And then it's got Namor behind her. And of the three, Namor's the shortest. Which
it could be because they're in the foreground, right, Alex?
Well, if he's still shorter than Angela Bassett. And
Is that why he's wearing that big old helmet?
And he's got a gigantic panther headdress. I assume, maybe it's a quizzicotal?
Yeah. It's, the feathers and very ornate. Very ornate.
It's huge. It's, which harkens back to, we said it in the green room, but who wore it better, Namor or Carmen Miranda?
It's a little different, but Alex, you are not, you're signed up for it.
Yes. Hold on one second. I'm checking
sorry.
out Walgreens.
Oh my God! It really is like father, like son.
Yeah, this headdress has got to weigh easily 20 pounds.
Feathers and all.
Possibly 35.
Let me ask you this quick question. I saw it briefly. Is it of an animal, this headdress? It's some sort of like
an aquatic
tiger? Or
it's not even a fish? It should be a fish.
It's not even a fish, yeah. I mean, it looks like a panther kind of, but there's also feathers. And
why would the king of the sea have a land animal as his headdress?
Well, we'll find out, right? But, I mean, it seems like he is either, I don't know, Maya or Aztec descent.
I'm back. It took me a bit. All right. Listen here, folks.
Okay, give it to us, Alex.
Listen.
Preach it.
I get it. It's a silly-looking headdress. But here's the thing. What Ryan Coogler said about the film is that his version of Namor, the Submariner culture of Lemuria or whatever, it takes high inspiration from that of like Mayan culture, and like that's where this ancient civilization started.
It's just like a crown. It's not like or anything like that. It's just this ornate like headpiece for him to sit on his throne and look boss in.
Okay.
My question is, if he's the king of the sea or king of this underwater civilization, shouldn't it be like a big old fish head or something, like a big tuna head, or
like a tuna or whatever?
Why would he have an animal like a mammal head?
Because he's also half like human. Like that's the whole thing with Namor. It's like he's half land, half.
Yeah.
man.
Did you not
like
know that, PMR? Did you?
I did know that. Of course, I did know that.
Yeah, but it's still weird. Like he's the king of an underwater kingdom. Like, why would he? Like, they don't know. Why would he wear that? Because how many of them have seen a land mammal? It's just weird.
We see them on land in the trailer. It's not too far off to think that they've been on land and seen a lion before. I don't think that's too hard to really picture. I mean, Namor's on land in the trailer. Tuma and his wife are on the land. Like, they're just more covert. And I think a lot of it goes back to Mayan culture again, where lions and bigger cats like that were perceived as like royal gods and things. So it's just one of those connections where Ryan Coogler is just blending these cultures together in a really interesting way.
What about the logistics of trying to swim with a 30-pound helmet?
Feathers. The feathers.
And feathers. Like there's going to be tons of resistance in the current from these feathers.
He's not very fast.
Listen, Aquaman.
How does he keep it on?
He keeps butting the bottom of the ocean. He gets his trajectory up, and then he just slowly gravity pulls him back down.
Aquaman wears a big rubber orange suit, and we didn't complain.
Almost, you might assume that Aquaman suit was made out of gold, right?
Yeah, fair point.
Fish scales. It was made out of fish scales.
Golden, delicious fish
My whole
scales.
thing is
so Aquaman killed his friends to wear on his body? That's a little fucked up.
No, he inherited it from his ancestor. Watch the movie, Alex.
Who killed a bunch of fish.
Killed his
fish.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Then you got Orm with that big silver, like, fucking, I don't know, like shell on his head.
Orm's helmet looks svelte. It looks aerodynamic compared to this monstrosity. It's
like
literally
underwater.
This headdress is 4 times the size of his head.
Yeah, and it's cool.
Again, it does look
not cool.
It looks cool. And if it's just an ornate
It's a cool crown.
king crown type thing, then that totally makes sense. Now, if he's swimming with that full fledged on, maybe that's a little goofy. But if
I
he's
still
just
know how
sitting
it
there on
stays
his
on
throne.
head. I mean, I can't keep a hat on when I'm swimming underwater.
Right. Well,
And I've tried.
and Lord knows I've tried on a bicycle
Think
with
about that.
my iPhone in my hand.
My iPhone and my bike.
Now we know.
Every time
Now we know.
Did not work.
I mean, my guess is that, and again, the timeline of what I'm about to say doesn't make sense whatsoever. But my guess is that, again, he's Aztec or Mayan, and the culture, they're tying that in with Atlantis. And now those people live under sea, but they retain the culture from the land, maybe. But that makes no sense. But that's my guess.
Yeah, it makes it. Well, here's the problem, and I put my finger on it earlier today when I was thinking about this stuff. Part of the reason this stuff, a lot of these things, especially in Phase 4 or whatever phase we're in right now, bother me so much. And we've said it on the podcast. It's like, it's just a superhero movie, just suspension of disbelief. Don't think too hard about it. It's okay if it doesn't make sense. That is not the mantra of phases 1 through 3. Phases 1, 2, and 3 were pretty tight, like from a writing standpoint, from a conceptualization standpoint, from a world building, universe building standpoint. Now we're getting into all this stuff where, you've got the wrecking crew and they don't even have the right weapons and all that kind of stuff. Crew. I'm just saying like it's like, whoa, now suddenly we're making these concessions when it's just a superhero movie. Just enjoy it. Don't think too hard about it. Well, no, that's not the way. The reason the Marvel MCU became so popular and beloved by fans is because they didn't like just throw shit away for the sake of throwing shit away. They made stuff count. So like when you get the Thunderbolts and it's not the Thunderbolts and people are like, oh, well, just, it's the Dark Avengers. It's not the Thunderbolts. Don't tell me it's the Thunderbolts. We've got to this point now where canon doesn't matter. Like the connections back to the comics doesn't matter. Everything can be just bastardized because it's just a superhero movie. Chill out. No, like that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. That's a big chink in the armor of Phase 4 is that they've stopped trying. They've stopped trying as hard. They're not keeping their ship as tight as they once did. They're bringing in all these other writers and creators and stuff, and the quality control's not there. You don't have editorial. If you want to liken it to a comic book, scenario, the Marvel universe was built on tight editorial. The most important part of the Marvel universe in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was one editorial team. They were all New York based. All the writers worked out of the same office. There was that connectivity. We don't have that anymore in the comics, and now we don't have it in the MCU. And you can feel it. So, but yeah, just like this, it's now they're saying, Namor. Part of this, another part of this article is that Namor. They're confirming Namor is the first mutant.
Right.
So, they haven't said how. I guess other than the wings on his feet, but he's the first mutant. So,
we got to also see if he was, like the true Namor in the comics, if he was around during World War II, because Namor ages slowly. So he may be the first mutant due to that. So I don't know. There's a lot going on. I agree with you that they've kind of let a lot get loosey goosey here in this past phase. The She-Hulk show is abysmal. Although I did like the last one. I mean, I didn't. It was better than it had been.
That was the worst one yet.
That's what everybody says.
Brian, as someone who actually has liked the first 5 episodes of She-Hulk, like decently, like it's all right. That last episode was god fucking awful.
Wow,
I hated
I've
the
not watched
Mr.
it.
Immortal stuff. I thought it was terrible. But the other stuff was, the wedding stuff was like,
my god! It was
it was better than what it had been.
So
for Daredevil.
we can quickly get. A quick aside into She-Hulk. Tamara watched it. Tamara was in the room and watched this episode, and she's like, "What the hell is this? Like, what the fuck is going on? This is awful." And I'm like, "Well, this is written for you.
Yeah,
this is Marvel's attempt to write a show that you would like."
It's
and she's like, "This."
woman.
She's like, "This is garbage."
Wow.
So I didn't ask her. She just was in the room while we were watching it, and she tried to get into it. She's like, "This is just garbage."
But at the same point, she's looking forward to that Julia Roberts, George Clooney movie, though, right?
She is.
Okay, so let's just level set.
I'm
level set.
Forward to that movie. I'll go with it.
So yeah, I'll get drugged to that one.
Well, you referred to it. How did you refer to it, Brian?
Oh God, what
You said it was Tamara's Endgame.
Oh yeah, it was her Adventures Endgame,
the rom-com Endgame. If
Clooney,
only Hugh Grant
Roberts.
shows up, that'd be nice.
God.
So yeah, more news. We had some casting. This week, casting for season 2 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah, I know.
Speaking of comedy legends,
talk about stunt casting. You
can't call it stunt casting if most people have never heard of the person. All right.
If you're a fan of Taxi back in the 70s, you will love this stuff.
You remember her as Lucas wife.
Have you ever anybody watched Scrooged before?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? In all fairness, she wasn't Kimmy Schmidt. So for you millennials out there, y'all will know her from Kimmy Schmidt.
Carol Kane has been cast in season 2 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds as a new engineer. She's a new engineer. I guess she's starting her career over late in life.
So before there was Scotty on the Enterprise, there was this wackadoodle. That's just great.
So Carol Kane has been cast as a fresh-faced engineer on the.
That's really going to get the young viewers.
What is she, like 70 years old? I mean,
easily 70.
We're gonna have a what was her name on Night Court? A Thelma thing where they keep dying. When they hire them too
just
old.
Keep replacing them, yeah.
We've got Better Call Saul creator Vince Gilligan has announced his new show.
Oh.
So, and did you know, PMR, did you know that Vince Gilligan came from the X-Files?
I did.
So,
yes, absolutely.
But they haven't announced like the premise or the name of the new show. It's going to be on Apple TV Plus, which Apple TV Plus is pretty tight. I mean, they got some really good content. But they did announce that it's going to, the lead actress is going to be Rhea Seehorn.
I like Rhea Seehorn.
I don't know who that is.
Seehorn.
Yeah,
Kim Wexler.
Really
Yeah, she's the best part of Better Call Saul.
She really is. She is the best part of that show.
So, but it's not a sequel? It's not in the same universe? Okay.
No, it's going to be completely something different.
She's going to play a wacky detective, I'm sure.
Ah.
She's the lead in the show, and yeah, she's fantastic. Like, Alex, have you watched Better Call Saul?
I haven't. It's on my shit list.
It's on your shit list.
Not like
not the bad part of the shit list, the good part of the shit list.
on the good part of the shit list.
Oh, all right. We've got another announcement for PMR.
What's that?
Alan Richson is back on the set, filming the new season of Reacher.
That's the worst show
for Prime Video. I just hope they have a crossover with Bosch.
Gosh, you're big. Woo-wee. Look at that big guy.
Look, Bosch is on Freevee, right? Which is Amazon.
Right.
Alan Reacher season 2. If they could find a way to have a Bosch Reacher crossover, that would be fantastic.
Man, I tell you what, that would be awesome. Two terrible actors all in one show. Reacher is probably that's such a bad show that everybody loves. I mean, hey, Bosch, I have to say that this new Bosch sucks so bad because at least the old Bosch had a really good supporting cast, but this new one does not. So now you're just relying on Bosch. It's like he fired all the people who could act. And now it's just Bosch, his daughter, and Mimi Rogers. And that's it.
Yeah, they kept the worst parts of the cast.
They really did. I mean, it's like, them guys are outshining me. We got to do something about this.
Get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Alex, have you played The Last of Us?
Yes, I have.
Did you see the trailer, the HBO Max trailer I posted earlier?
Pretty damn good.
I don't know what that is.
It's like Walking Dead, but better. And it's a video game. Just probably the best.
You lost me at video game.
You lost me at Walking Dead.
It's like really great. It's a great game, and this cast is fantastic. I mean, Pedro Pascal. I'm looking forward to it. HBO has been treating me nicely lately with Industry and House of the Dragon. I've been really enjoying HBO, so I have no doubt this will be at the same level.
Yeah, it looks like Walking Dead. The zombies look a little different. They look more video gamey. They got like this huge brain on the outside of their head. They look like a attack from Mars.
Yeah, they have like weird mushroom kind of spores on them, like almost like they're like crustaceans. It's like the Pirates of the Caribbean dead people mixed with like Walking Dead.
Okay,
but it does look like a much bigger budget zombie show than Walking Dead is. So,
all right,
Alex, you're cutting in and out a lot. So, just by the way, let's see. That might be it for the news.
All right.
I do have one thing to say. I've read today. Actually.
All right.
Cutting into your news bit, did you see this article about Alan Rickman? They found his journals after he died.
Oh yeah, I didn't read it, but I saw the headline.
Yeah, he's like throwing shade at all the Harry Potter actors, like saying like Daniel Radcliffe couldn't act, and
ouch,
he don't think he's a real actor, and I mean it's really bad. I mean,
dead people. Like, come on. Poor Alan Rickman's been dead for like 7 years, and they're like, found
something.
Shit.
Well, they're actually they're releasing a book that's got all his journals in it, where he just talks shit about everybody.
Why? You're cutting out really bad, Alex. I don't know if you got headphones on or.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll go.
Or if you're on Wi-Fi, switch off Wi-Fi and use cell. But yeah, I mean, why bother? Let poor Alan Rickman's thoughts rest with him, is what I would say. No one cares about him, do we?
I care about Alan Rickman.
But do I care about what he thinks or thought?
Am I better now? Just checking.
I think you're better now.
Yeah.
I will say that, speaking of Hans Gruber, I did watch the episode of Rick and Morty the other night about Die Hard.
It's a Die Hard. Yeah.
You're doing a Die Hard on me.
You're like 2 weeks behind.
I'm like, the story of my life.
So, yeah, that's it for the news.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's, Alex, if you stay with us here, I know you got a lot of shit to talk about. So let's go to the movies first, because we had a kind of a theatrical event of the decade, I would almost say. That we need to talk about. So let's all go to the movies. So what could draw three of the podmen together had to be Kevin Smith, fellow podcaster Kevin Smith. So PMR talked me into going to see Clerks 3. And as soon as I get to the theater, he's like, well, guess what? We got a triple date here because Brian's driving up just to see Clerks 3. Was
driving up?
Brian drove across states just to see Clerks 3.
That's romance.
Well, I had to make sure. I heard Brad was 2-timing on me, so I had to be there to bust up the date.
Yeah, he squeezed in between us. It was very awkward. Especially when it was all guys that were there. There were 20 guys there to see Clerks 3, probably.
Well,
that one guy thought it was hilarious, though. I will say that.
There was one guy up front, and he laughed at every joke that I think pretty much failed. But PMR, this was your movie. I think
he may have been deaf, and he was reading it like closed caption or something, because his laugh would come
a little bit later.
Yeah. He'd come like 6 or 8 seconds after the punchline was given. So it would be like they'd moved, the dialogue had moved on, and then he's, bah!
He just wanted to make sure it was funny. He was thinking it over in his head. He didn't get it.
That checks out. That checks out.
Well, I have to say, I loved it.
Now, hold on, PMR.
Okay, let's back up. Let me tell you my love of this.
Let's back up. We just started.
And why?
He's like, wait a minute, don't attack me yet.
All right. This goes back to when we were all back when I was a teenager in the 90s.
Exactly.
When I was a teenager in the 90s and I owned my own store,
and you were a clerk.
We were all clerks. I mean, Brian was a clerk. I was a clerk. Brad was a clerk.
Not really, but
he was around there.
I hung out.
And we hung out, and we did. And one of our highlights of that decade was going to see Kevin Smith movies.
Was it?
Brian, do you remember that being the highlight of the night?
I don't remember.
Dude, we would always go see Kevin Smith.
No, we wouldn't. We went
and saw Dogma. We went and saw Mallrats. We
did not go see Dogma or Mallrats. We saw Dogma in the theater. We did not see Mallrats or Clerks 1 or Clerks 2 in the theater.
That one movie was a fucking.
And I remember we saw Dogma, and all you did was bitch about it.
Well, that's his least favorite. He said that's his least favorite Kevin Smith movie.
I did. So I remember that fond memory of us going to the movie.
This fake
Gigli.
This fake memory that he has.
Yes. So when I saw Clerks 2.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked Clerks 2. I thought it was great. So kind of like the characters in these movies grew up with us. Mm-hmm. So when we see Clerks 3 and see how depressing life has really become.
Yeah, spoiler.
Boy, it hit a home run right there. I was like, man, this is my life.
Yeah, me and Brad picked up on This Is Your Life early on in that movie.
I mean, there were some sad scenes in it, yes, but I was crying, laughing. It was all I could do to not just burst out laughing at the most inappropriate times because of how sad it was. And in my mind,
sometimes I was like, I had a beer when it first started. I was like, can you keep the alcohol coming? Because this is so goddamn depressing.
Brian would look over at these depressing parts, and I couldn't make eye contact with him because I knew exactly what he was thinking. And then you look over at PMR, and PMR would just be looking just desolate over there, like, holy shit, something really hit home here.
Yeah, he was despondent. There was so many moments where it's like, this is your life, Podman Ron. It was
Alex, I know you said you did not see it, and you probably have no desire to see it since you didn't grow up with these characters in the 90s like we evidently did. However, maybe you would see shades of PMR in it.
What's funny is I actually saw my own comic book movie, like comic book store kind of movie, the other week. I saw this movie called Funny Pages, low budget indie A24 movie that came out like earlier this summer, but it was showing at like one of my nearby small theaters. And what's funny is I think it goes to show that that's how people fondly think over, like what you're saying is how fondly think over this time period. In that movie, it's literally just like crazy ass artists who are like stabbing kids with pencils and shit.
Well, I can tell you in 30 years, they're all going to be depressed.
They're all going to be sad.
If they do a Funny Pages 3, it's not going to be good.
So we can get into it a little bit. Like the plot wise, essentially.
Okay, spoilers.
Spoilers.
I will say Kevin Smith did a good job keeping this under wraps because I've seen interviews. I even saw an interview with him the other day where he was talking about the movie to someone who hadn't seen it, and he had the cast with him. And the guy was like, I haven't seen it yet, but, everybody, Randall had a heart attack. Well, shouldn't Dante be the one that had the heart attack? But everybody would have thought Dante would. And you could see the cast, like, not looking and trying to, not make eye contact with the guy. And Kevin Smith's doing that. No, this is Randall's story. And spoilers, everyone. It is not Randall's story. It's definitely a Dante story.
Well, and this is the spoiler I was not going to give. So I was really going to set up like the first like act of the movie, but essentially Randall has a heart attack, and it's Randall and Dante working in the convenience store. The video store is gone. Silent Bob or
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob are running like a marijuana dispensary out of the video store. So Randall has a heart attack. He has a close call. He gets out of the hospital. He's decided he's wasted his life, and he's going to use. He's watched hundreds of thousands of movies over his lifetime. He's going to take those skills that he learned watching all those movies, and they're going to make a movie. And the movie is basically Clerks 1 that they make.
Right. It's literally
they do shot by shot of old Clerk, scenes from Clerks 1. But go ahead.
Yeah, which was very clever. I thought that was kind of clever what they did.
And we'll say how that pays off.
Yeah, totally. It totally does.
So in true PMR, me and Brad, the reason why we couldn't look at each other is because Randall, who starts with an R, Randall decides that he's going to make a movie, and so now poor Dante has to do everything to make this happen for Randall.
Right.
He has to raise the money for it. He has to get the camera crew. He has to get the extras.
Randall seems very unappreciative of it.
And then you get to towards the end of the end of the second act, and Randall's talking about what a genius director he is, and that Dante needs to get his shit together. After Dante basically leveraged his half of the convenience store just to get the money to make Randall's movie.
Right.
So me and Brad are we're the whole, it's hitting too close to home for me.
Yeah. It's tough.
Considering all the cockamamie schemes PMR had at the comic shop over the years. But and then it takes a twist towards the end because you've already alluded to it.
Yeah.
Dante. Well, let's back up. Dante's love of his life, which was Rosario Dawson in Clerks 2. At the end of Clerks 2, she was pregnant, and that was released in 2006. Well, you find out at the very beginning. At the opening of this movie, that she died in 2006, right after Clerks 2. She died in a car accident. She was hit by a drunk driver, and so he never really. So that happy ending from Clerks 2 was completely wiped out. So that's where we kind of are now. So he's been mourning her for 16 years. So that's
I really want to see this, guys.
Puzzle.
Yeah, no, it's horrible from this perspective.
You've got all of these you got all these conversations in the convenience store, and where it was the famous Death Star 3 or Death Star 2 conversation from Return of the Jedi, and they were contractors and they didn't work for the Empire and all that kind of stuff. That's a pretty famous dialogue piece, right? From that script, and so they keep trying to have these kind of conversations and stuff, and they're just not good. They're just kind of out of touch. They make these stunt casting things which aren't funny in it. like the writing is just kind of like story and plot is pretty good, but the actual dialogue, which Kevin Smith's known for, doesn't really land.
Right. Exactly.
Or at least the comedy does. Like, again, the drama part of it, I liked.
Well, yeah.
I would have been okay if this would have been a straight drama and left out, like you said, Brian, kind of the goofiness of not Ethan, but the other sidekick. Ezekiel or whatever.
I'm sorry,
Elias. All of that stuff completely fell flat. And so it's sort of like if this would have been more of a straight drama compared to, and maybe in contrast with the first Clerks or whatever, maybe that would have been a better bookend. But the comedy part of it was what really ruined it for me.
Yeah. The funny stuff was the unintentional comparisons made.
Right.
So then you get to the end of the movie and the end of the second act or middle of the third act, and Dante has a heart attack himself. But right after Dante gets told that he's holding Randall back and he's the reason why Randall's not successful, right. and after Dante's broken his back to help Randall this whole time. And so he has a heart attack, and Randall goes to visit him, and he edits the movie real quick and goes to see Randall in the hospital and plays the movie on his iPad or computer, and Randall dies watching it.
Dante dies.
Dante dies watching it. Yeah. So then me and Brad were like, now we're concerned of which one of us is the Dante. Clearly PMR is the Randall.
One of us is going to die on the podcast.
Trying to make PMR's dreams come true.
It's all for you, PMR.
You're doing a shitty job at it.
There it is. There's the Randall moment.
Exactly. But so again, I want to. I did think about the movie afterwards. It stayed with me a little bit.
Of course.
Again, the comedy bits of it. If you took all that bullshit out and you left it with the overall thought that Randall was really doing this for Dante, which I suspect, maybe Randall just changed his mind, when Dante had the heart attack. It wasn't really that way from the beginning. But, because you think about. And I haven't thought hard enough to actually go look for it, but we have a lot of videotape of the old days. How fun would that be to put that together? And because at the end, when, as Brian said, when Randall shows Dante the movie that he made, which they had just filmed, they just recorded, when he watches it played back, it's the original Clerks movie. It's in black and white, right. And they're all young and all that stuff. So it's sort of like, is that how? It. Yeah.
Well, he explains it. It's like, this is how I see it. I see it.
You know what, right. Dante?
We still look young. We still look the
right.
same.
You know what, Dante? You go and do that.
You go do that, Dante. But it did remind me of oh my God, remember the recordings of us trying to move that giant fucking shelf into the back of the thing. I'm like, I haven't watched that in years. So it did make me a little nostalgic for that, PMR.
Oh, man, we need to watch that.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, I have no idea where it is.
So yeah, if you took out some of the really,
I recorded a scat video over it. Sorry.
if you remove some of the groan-worthy dialogue sections, the comedy dialogue sections, and the heavy-handed Rosario Dawson scenes.
Yeah.
No, I don't think those were heavy-handed.
Him at the gravesite?
That was bad.
Oh, well, that was yeah. Well. Yeah. Not her speech in that was what was terrible enough. I mean, right. Her little thing about having sex with all the dead people, that was kind of stupid.
Well, that's anyway.
So she was only in two scenes, and that one was
exactly. Now,
three.
I think it is interesting that in the parking lot, directly after the movie, do you remember what PMR said to us, Brad?
No, I'm afraid.
He goes, well, it's funny because I am writing a movie script.
Oh, that's true. I am writing a movie script. Yeah. Yep, about his life.
So,
well, here's the thing.
Here we go.
I mean, y'all were like, I think he has written something that's different than what he used to write. I mean, he's more of a serious storyteller. I think the seriousness.
I like the seriousness.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. He's a better writer than he is a comedy writer now.
Yeah, which is why I said
because
lay off the comedy.
In Clerks
really
One, he's pulling analogies out of his life as a shop clerk. Right. Now he doesn't have that genuine experience to like tap into, so it just feels forced.
And it is forced because
it feels like a man. It feels like a man who had a heart attack wanted to write a movie about a man who had a heart attack.
That's exactly right.
He wanted to know a man who had a heart attack wanted to write a movie about two men that had heart attacks.
Well, anyway, yeah. So it would be fun to watch it again, only because of again the PMR connection.
We'll air it at PMR's wake.
Yeah, and say it wasn't even supposed to be here today.
No, but
we'll just dub it. We'll dub it every time they say Randall. We'll say Ronnie.
I'll stand up there with a mic. Ron.
But here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
You guys are like, I thought I liked the whole thing about Dante, and he never got over the loss that he took, and like the only thing he had was that stupid convenience store, and after 16 years, he still mourned someone like, as what she said, you've only known her like 15 minutes, and you've mourned me for like 16 years.
I know.
And it was more about that loss, and that's why I kind of liked it. It was kind of like a M. Night Shyamalan twist, so you're watching this whole movie for like 2 acts, and you think you're watching this, and then at that third act, it just twists on you.
It does twist
and then you just realize, holy shit, we've watched this movie, and it's all really truly about this one guy grieving the whole time.
Yeah,
twisted like my testes.
Twisted like testes.
So
we're watching this. What about this one guy grieving and then dying an unfulfilled life?
Which again, PMR, I'm with you on that.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, it was. That's what was sad about it.
I will go along with that, but all the stupidity stuff with Elias and Satanism and this that just kind of ruined the whole thing. To where it's just like
that's where
the whole emergency waiting room thing. That's where it got. Yeah. Well, that's where it started. That emergency waiting room thing, where Elias was just chewing scenery and just way over the top. It was. I think that's when I checked out. Of the dialogue, like I don't think it ever recovered from that.
Well, PMR, let's get a rating here. Let's give Alex some advice. What do you give it on a 1 to 5?
I'd give it a 3.
Okay, Brian,
I'm not feeling optimistic.
I'm going to go 2.
Wow. I will give it a 3. Again, I loved the drama part of it. I loved what it was trying to say. The comedy was so written so horribly stupid that drags it down for me.
Yeah,
but I will watch it again at some point.
It was rehash comedy, and that's
at PMR's wake.
I will watch it again at PMR's wake. All right. Well, there you go, Alex. So
do not play that at my wake.
I feel really enthused.
Yeah, you
should watch it, Alex. You'd like it.
Oh, Alex, you would hate it. Okay, Alex, what have you got? Have you got anything better for us?
Listen, I've seen a shit ton of shit lately.
All right.
But I guess the most pressing, probably the most infamous thing I went and saw this weekend, I saw Don't Worry, Darling.
Ooh.
The second.
I don't want to know about it. I want to go see it.
Starring Florence Pugh, Harry
Love me some Flo.
You're cutting out, Brad. You're cutting out, Alex.
Oh.
You got to keep that camera still, son.
I'm just keeping my camera still.
There we go.
So yeah, I went and saw it, and it's not great. The way I've explained it to people is like it's a good first act. It gets a little sloppy in the second act, but it still holds your attention. The mystery still is grabbing you, and by the third act, I think Olivia Wilde must have snorted some cocaine and was like, all right, time to direct a movie.
Now it's time to get started.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you just did. You were all over the place. It's just kind of a mess from beginning, from by the end. And then it taints the rest of the movie. Like the end just makes you go, then what the hell was the rest of this about? Like, what was the point? And it just seems a little half-baked, and most of the issues come with the script. The performances are good. The cinematography is beautiful. You don't really think about the shots until you're out of the movie. It's like really entrancing, and you feel very like in the world that Olivia builds. And she's proven herself to be a competent director who, like, I mean, the movie's stunning. Like, and it has her flavor in it, and it's all that. But the script is just not there, and I think 2 or 3 more passes and it would have been, but it just never ever held up to that level. And it sucks to say, but it's just kind of, if you're really wanting to go see it, but if it was something you could live without, just let it be. Leave it and let it be. It ain't worth your time, in my opinion. I think it's just kind of a dud.
A little disappointing, you would say?
Yeah.
Had a lot of potential, maybe?
Yeah, I give it a 2 out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alex, when you say like the cinematography and the set design and all, I mean, that's not Olivia Wilde. I mean, she hired the people.
Well, at the end of the day, she's the director, so she's calling all the shots and she's crafting this world. Like she's made it. And so, yeah, to the credit of her DP and her set designer and all that, and their relationship that informs such a beautiful world, but also Olivia's direction with the camera, working with her DP so well and crafting this environment. Like, it really, as much as it's every one of those people working under her, at the very top of that list is the director who had the vision for all this. Yeah, Harry Styles does a lot of working under in the movie. Legitimately works a lot under the table.
Love me some Flo.
Yeah. And again,
table or sheets.
The performances for the most part are even good too. Harry Styles tries his best, poor kid. Probably needs to take some acting lessons, but for the most part, everyone else, Florence Pugh is doing performance of her career. Fantastic. But it's just kind of a dud. It just kind of left me going, that was kind of a waste of time, and I'm kind of upset. I was really looking forward to it.
PMR,
what's that old man behind you think, PMR?
Can you ask the people behind you to be quiet when trying to record, PMR?
Can you shush them? Like any closer and that dude would be sitting in your lap. What? Like, that whole patio is huge. Why is he sitting right behind you?
I don't.
That's the attraction of PMR. He's studying gravity.
But also, Brad, I think we saw a movie. We saw something similarly. We saw The Woman King.
Saw the Woman King, the Lady King, whatever it was. Not together, unfortunately. I would have loved to see the movie together, but no. My wife drugged the whole family up.
Ironically, if you switch that up and said it was The Man Queen, it's a totally different kind of movie.
Yeah, definitely a different movie. I talked about it a little bit, and I said it was good.
These are the jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
It'd be great if the guy behind them started laughing. No, I said it was good. I thought it was a little bit too long. It kind of drug on some scenes. But Viola Davis was fantastic. What were your thoughts?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is the best movie of the year.
Wow.
A terrible ad campaign.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be a little cheap and cheesy, but it turned out to be, I think, I kind of akin it to Top Gun as one of these movies. Like,
wow,
it is pure entertainment, but the added bonus of this is its history, and the criticism it's gotten online is what the movie's all about. And it's just this really, I think, a very important and very meaningful movie. And I think it's changed kind of the slave drama forever. Like, I don't think you can do that movie anymore because of this movie, unless it's a Frederick Douglass biopic. I don't think you could ever make a slave movie anymore after The Woman King.
Wow. Shut it down, Hollywood. Absolute. Alex says it's done. Put a fork in it.
Because I have a lot of black friends, and I always ask them, like, what do you think about slave dramas, slave biopics? And they go, I don't watch them. I've seen like one or two, but it's just demeaning and all that. And here's this genre and there's this movie that's empowering and it's uplifting. It's got a great message and a great heart to it, with great performances, great action, it's stunning. It's just a really, really, really great movie. And to me, this best, or if not second best movie of the year. So,
whenever I'm first meeting a black person, I ask, what do they think about slave movies?
Brian.
Like,
I'm curious.
It's my go-to icebreaker.
Tell me, Mr. Dahomey, what do you think about this? All right, so let me ask you this, Alex. One thing that, again, Viola Davis was fantastic in it. Everybody else was fine. I did like Captain Marvel in it.
Who?
Photon, or what? Wasn't that the one of the leaders? Or
Lashana Lynch.
There you go. She was great in it. And I like John Boyega, whatever his name. He was
in it.
Yep, he was the man king. He was tell me that if you didn't see shades of Denzel Washington there. I mean, he was totally acting like Denzel. I mean, he pulled that out.
I mean, yeah.
He was good though.
Honestly, him and Viola Davis, I can see both at least getting nominated for best actor and best actress, like respectively. I think for him, probably best supporting actor, but
Golden Globes.
I mean,
maybe.
They are. I mean, Viola Davis. This is the like
Nickelodeon award.
When she said in an
They
interview,
get slimed.
Alex, you know when you're gone this long and you come back with a serious movie, you know you have to expect this, right? It's no disrespect.
I know.
It's just
but at the end of the day, here's the thing: you guys aren't going to go see it. You two won't see it.
No.
But you're missing out on a really, really
Fucking
great
slugs.
movie. That's
Winner of 3 MTV Movie Awards.
Best kiss.
Best.
Best tribal dance sequence.
They did, honestly, though. They danced a lot. They were always having a feast, right?
And it was fucking great. I was dancing. I was in an empty. dancing with them.
I wish I would have seen it with you. I would have been bowing my head down, and meanwhile, Alex is getting all Dahomey in the aisles there.
I was in an empty Dolby theater on a Monday night, having the time of my life. I was having a great time.
Wow,
I really do.
We were the only white people in our theater. That makes you
I'm going to see it again. I'm renting out a theater to see it on Sunday. It's
Is that what you're going to see? That's what you're going to take your girlfriend to see on her birthday?
That's what she wants to go see on her birthday. That's what
I'm
she's
just telling you that.
That's what your money pays for, PMR?
2 showings of The Woman King.
I'm buying all your tickets. Let me ask you this, though,
It'll be
Alex.
streaming in like a week and a half.
It'll be on iTunes 99-cent rental next week. Let me ask you this, Alex. Have you done any research into the this is all based off of real story and all that kind of stuff. Is that, I mean, you can't, we had the comparison of Wakanda Forever. The comparison of what how Wakanda is compared to this, I mean, you have to compare the two, right? If this was, if the Woman King was reality, or some sort of version of reality, kind of like the Untouchables, it's not based on true events, right?
like.
I mean, did they base the whole Wakanda stuff in the MCU on these people? Do you know?
I think kind of. I think that's kind of where all this. There isn't much like
You're breaking up again a little bit.
Oh. My back.
Yep, you're back.
There isn't much on like the creation of the Dora Milaje, but you can obviously see the connection with the Dahomey tribe and the warriors there. And
the Dahomey tribe. Is that what you just said?
Oh my God! This is like the 4th time we've used that joke. It's literally the tribe. They are the Dahomey.
The Dahomey tribe.
Okay.
But I think for the most, I mean, you can draw a lot of, like similarities to Black Panther to like this history in Africa, especially like what they went through in terms of the slave trade and things like that. And I think a lot of that hit its way into the Black Panther mythology, how they built this world. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's like realistic Black Panther.
Right,
it's more like Braveheart. Like really, at the end of the day, this is just like an African tribal women movie, like Braveheart. It's just that. That's its comp. And honestly, it's probably better than Braveheart. A lot of the criticism this movie got online was kind of unfair considering the movie addressed the criticism of, well, these people participated in the slave trade. Yeah, that's what the movie's about, dumbass.
Right.
The whole movie, that's the A plot of this whole thing, this whole political fight. And it's like, look up all the shit that's unrealistic and the lies they say in Braveheart, all the nationalistic kind of shit they say. It's all over the place. It's just a really great movie that has a really great message. Like, what other movie can you watch where a African warrior woman wraps slave chains around her head and beats a slaver's head in? You can't. But it's fucking badass. And I cheered. I was so fucking happy. It was
When he went dancing, he was cheering.
It was fucking great. I really love it.
So this, like, your movie event of the year was Top Gun, and this is supplanted Top Gun.
All right, come close to it.
Yeah, I think between my top three at the moment is this, Top Gun, and Nope. And you could pretty much exchange any of those.
Okay, for your top one
from the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you on the podcast where we talked about Nope, Alex?
I fought for it very hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So
I feel like you just disqualified your review with that Nope.
I've seen Nope 3 times.
Oh my God.
I think
with popcorn and a drink.
Good.
How much money is that, Brian? Calculate it quick.
Yeah, he spent like $100 on Nope, PMR.
I have AMC A-list.
I actually like Nope.
I have AMC A-list. I'm good, man.
All right. So 5 out of 5 for The Woman King.
Yeah, that's my third 5 out of 5 of the year.
What about you, Brad? What would you give it?
I forgot what I gave it. I gave it either a 3 or a 4. Again, there was some. I thought it was a little bit too long, a little drug out, and then there was one part, Alex, that maybe I think I stayed awake for it, but maybe I kind of zoned out where they were making the termite hill bombs, right? And they kind of got the idea to make the termite hill bombs, and then all of a sudden, I think it was daytime or whatever, and then it turned nighttime, and the enemy's camp was set up right where the bombs were. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did they know? Did they do that while the people were asleep? Did they set up the, what? So there seemed like there was a little bit of something missing.
It was the Spanish guy, the mixed Spanish guy told her that was where they were camping out.
Ah, okay. So I figured something seemed a little bit off there. But anyway, so I gave it either a 3 or a 4. I forgot what I said.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
I saw quickly. I saw See How They Run, which is just a fun whodunit movie starring Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird and Little Women. Fun movie, just a fun little whodunit.
Never heard of it.
I don't think it came out. It's like it was like a come and go kind of movie. Like it just kind of showed up in theaters, and you were like, oh, let's just go watch this, and it's fun. Like. I think it beats over its like mystery too much over the head and plays with the genre too much. Like not in like a fun way, more of an annoying way for me. But like 3 out of 5. Like if you're in the mood, go watch it or wait for streaming. It's a perfect streaming movie.
All right, very good.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Oh, that's it. All right.
Besides TV, I got stuff for TV.
We'll get to TV. The only other, actually, a couple of movies, if I may interject, because I know people want to hear about my movie viewing, right? We watched, I can't think of the name of it now, Unbroken, the Angelina Jolie directed movie about,
I know you're
Was this on Showtime?
Maybe, something like that. I think we saw it on Canopy. Brian, are you muted? Or you were just mouthing words? I forgot.
Oh, no. From a couple years ago, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Unbroken. 2014. Wow. 2014.
Holy cow. It's that old?
Yeah, it is.
Good Lord.
But anyways, it was pretty good. A war film.
It must have been on Tubi.
It must have been on Tubi. I did watch.
He rented it from the library.
I did watch. God damn it. You know what? Canopy, which you can get access through your library to Canopy, Alex, with a K, has some pretty good offbeat movies.
I already got it.
Okay. They've got some good stuff. They got some The Kingdom by Lars von Trier, an old whatever supernatural.
They have some great old foreign films on there. A lot of like French film and Japanese film.
Criterion.
And lots of Daniel Tiger episodes.
Stop. Anyway,
Paw Patrol.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was directed by Pio Mars' girl, Angelina Jolie, and it has some beautiful scenery. And if I remember correctly, I was trying to see if I could say, I think Roger Deakins was the cinematographer. So anyway, a very pretty movie. The other one that we just saw this past week as we're gearing up for Halloween is a French film, an old French movie, Eyes Without a Face.
Hell yes!
Have you watched that recently? Did you?
I watched that my freshman year of college.
Oh my God!
I just had a face.
My 13-year-old picked it out. So
yeah, great movie.
That's what we're starting our Halloween watching fest with Eyes Without a Face, and we're going to be moving to Nosferatu and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari pretty soon this weekend.
PMR looks like he has eyes without a face right now. What the
he
hell?
does. Well, evidently people are having fun behind him.
I know, right?
People are listening in. Yeah, that moves.
Can you mic them up?
Did you like it?
I want to hear what they're talking about.
It was good. I mean, again, I thought it was entertaining. French. It was almost like a Twilight Zone episode or something like that. But nice. It was good. I've seen parts of it, but I'd never seen the whole thing. But anyway,
French horror is really interesting. Really interesting, like just subgenre of film. Like the way they go about it's super cool.
Kind of along the French horror. I'll say this and then I'll shut up, Brian. Have you seen Irreversible?
I haven't. No.
All right, you got. It's more of a. It's a drama more so than horror, but I think it's on Canopy. You got to check that out, and then I believe it's French. Martyrs.
I have seen, yes.
The original, I think it's French, not the American remake. The original is pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Martyrs. I love French film. I can talk about French film forever.
You talk about Raw.
I haven't seen Raw.
Raw was good. I enjoyed it. And then...
is that the Eddie Murphy one?
That's the Eddie Murphy one. And then Titane, whatever it was.
I did... My new roommate got me to watch Titane with him. He saw it last year when it came out. And I was like, what in the shit?
It's a little bizarre.
It was one of the grossest movies I've ever seen.
Well, there you go.
It was gross. Yeah.
All right. I will shut up now as Alex and I will start our new French Wave podcast next week, folks.
Yeah,
over to you, Brian.
Well, that's probably a pretty good segue. Last weekend, I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Nice.
Ooh. Speaking of horror, it was another good. Every year they've got 10 haunted houses, and they'll do these scare zones, like where you just walk through, and it'll be like they've got stuff set up. They'll just come running out of the bushes or whatever. And but the haunted houses for this year, they had one haunted house that was The Weeknd. So the musician The Weeknd had his own themed haunted house.
It
was really.
Did they make you listen to his music?
Yeah. The biggest problem was you had to listen to, what's that? What's that one song from the Super Bowl?
I can't feel my face. What is it? What's the name song?
I can't feel my face
when I'm with you. Yeah. So I heard that song probably 30 songs waiting, or 30 times waiting in line for the haunted house. But of the 10, we got through 9 of them.
Wow.
So it's pretty good.
That one though.
A little tip for you guys and our listeners: Halloween Horror Nights doesn't start till 6:30. But if you're in the park before closing, they'll do a preview and they'll let you start going through the Halloween or the haunted houses at 5:15. So a little tip: we got three haunted houses done before they actually technically open for the night. So, Brad, what are you saying?
No, that's that Brian Locke there.
That's right.
That Brian tip.
So they had a Blumhouse haunted house that was it was a twofer. You had Freaky, the Vince Vaughn movie from a couple years back, and you had the Black Phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, I saw the Black Phone. I enjoyed it.
Black Phone's good.
Every year they have a Universal Monsters one. This one was the Wolfman versus Dracula versus the Mummy. Oh. So they had that one. They had Spirits of the Coven, which was witches. They had one, and this is the one we didn't get to, but I've heard it's really, really good. It's called Bugs Eaten Alive, but it's basically the haunted house it just creeps you out because there's bugs everywhere. That's the whole thing, is that it's a house infested with bugs. They had another really good one was Dead Man's Pier, Winter Wake. It was like a multi-story haunted house, like not you went, but like the set pieces were multi-story. And it was like a blizzard had hit this like seaport town, and there was a killer on the loose. But yeah, really, really good. The every year they have like their pinnacle sort of haunted house. Last year, it was Stranger Things. The year before that, it was Ghostbusters. Right.
Oh, wow.
So, but this year, Brad, it was Halloween, and it was
Halloween.
It was all based on the 1978. Was it 78 or 79? The first one came out.
78, I think.
Yeah, it was all based on 78, and they had the full built Michael Myers house facade in there, like scale facade, and Michael was up in the window staring down. The first room you come into is. What was his sister's name?
Leslie?
No.
Judith Myers. Yeah, so the first room you go into is Judith's bedroom, and then when you come in the room, like behind the door is Michael in his, in the little clown costume and all. Very good haunted house. You go through the house across the street where the one girl was babysitting and she gets killed and her boyfriend gets tacked to the wall. Then you go through the whole Laurie Strode's, the house across the street where Laurie Strode's babysitting. You cross the street and everything. It's you go through that little alleyway with the shrubs and all back. It was very, very well done. You could tell they threw, a ton of money into the haunted house, but Halloween Haunted House was fantastic. I always love Halloween Horror Nights. It's probably one of the best things about being down here. So every year.
All right, very good. PMR is ready to go. PMR loves a good haunted house.
He does love a good haunted house. Let me go, man. Let me go. Can we talk about that story?
Don't hold me back. Feet don't fail me now.
Have we ever shared that one?
I'm sure
we have.
On the road to 200, I'm sure we have somewhere along the line.
All right. Let me go, man. Let me go.
All right.
I've never seen a grown man run so fast.
You actually could hear the when he was
he actually lifted up for a second, and his feet were like on a cloud of air. His feet were running so fast.
Puff of smoke. Yeah.
Before he got traction and took off. There was a PMR-shaped hole in the wall.
Wasn't it like a gargoyle or something that come to life?
Yeah. Or we kind of got to reference it. Basically, it was a cheap haunted house we went to.
Cheap?
It was
those old days were cheap. Yes.
Basically, it was just racks and cloth over them. So you zigzagged, and it was in an old mall that was closed. So we were in, and it wasn't even it was in one store in the mall. So think about a closed mall and an empty Sears, right? And you went in and you basically zigzagged, literally zigzagged. One wall was the row of where the row you just left, right? And then so you zigzag to the back of the store. And then zigzag back up to the front of the store. And we went to the back of the store, and then we were coming back up the front. And nobody wants to walk in front, right? But here's the secret is if you're in a group, the person in front never gets scared. They always go for people, the stragglers,
right
behind.
In the middle,
I got pushed to the front of the line, and we come down to the end of this row, and there's a gargoyle up on a pedestal. and as you make the little bend back going the other way, and PMR's behind me, and the guy goes, he goes, shh. When I walk up to him, I'm like, whatever. And so I turn around and start walking, and we had about 8 or 10 people in the group, and we get to almost like the other where we would, cut back, and the gargoyle scared somebody. And PMR's like, what's that? What's that? And I was like, it's the gargoyle. No, that was a statue. And I'm like, no, it's a kid in a costume. No, that was a statue. Well, the kid, this is maybe 15 feet away. This kid is. Right. So he just hops down again, walks right up behind PMR while he's arguing with me that was a statue. I'm like, no, it was a gargoyle. It was a kid in a gargoyle costume. No, it was a statue. So I can see the kid standing behind him. So I grab PMR's arms and I spin him around, and he's face to face with the gargoyle. And he starts screaming, let me go, man, let me go, let me go, man, let me go. And I let go. He took off. I've never seen a man. I think he just ran straight through the curtains. We didn't see him again until the parking lot.
Oh, good times.
I was 12.
Back in the 90s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Back in the 90s when he was 12.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
Do y'all remember that one we went to that had the helicopter that we had to go through? It was like an army field or something.
Oh, is that the one where it's like there used to be one that was like
it was an old hospital. And they had a helicopter out in the front.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, we went to that one too.
It had 2 halves, remember?
Yeah.
But the problem is the second they were almost the exact same haunted house, like on both sides. Like It was like they did the whole thing with the chainsaw and the fence.
God, that was like 30 years ago. Good Lord.
Well, time flies if we could only watch a video, huh?
I'm telling you.
We could always watch a video.
Halloween Horror Nights.
Before we all start dropping of heart attacks.
I know. Yeah, well, if only we knew a filmmaker. All right, let's go to, should we go to the TV world?
Yep.
I feel like we have several TV shows to talk about. Plus, Alex, you may have a few here. So maybe we don't spend a whole lot of time on them. But
it's kind of rapid fire.
Let's kind of rapid fire through this. First, I can't. In honor of PMR, we need to talk a little bit more about Cobra Kai. This will be our 3rd episode talking about Cobra Kai. Brian, you finished it now.
I finished it.
Alex, you've finished season whatever? No. PMR, you've seen it twice, the full series twice, right?
Yes.
But he's watched it. He's watched it twice in the past month.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Yes.
He's watched it twice other years before. Like seasons 1 and 2, he's probably on his 5th viewing.
Yeah, that's about right.
Listen,
they go by fast.
Before he gets into this, I have tried with all my hardest to get this man to watch House of the Dragon. Just start it. Just get caught up so you can watch it every week. But this man will sit and watch 10, 30-minute episodes of Cobra Kai back to back. Start it all over again. I'm like, what are we doing, man?
I know.
Because Cobra Kai is set in the real world.
Yeah.
It's his Sanford and Son,
It's about as realistic
Alex.
as you can get. Cobra Kai is.
Yeah, Cobra Kai is set in the real world. House of the Dragon is not.
All right, well,
exactly.
I think we all know how PMR feels about Cobra Kai. Brian, any thoughts on this past season?
Yeah, it finished a lot stronger than it started. Once you got to episode 5, I mean, even the kids were like, oh, this is cringeworthy. And then we got to episode 5, everything seemed to click. And I said this the last time. I think the first 2 episodes, they thought, Alex, that they weren't going to have Miguel because of other engagements. They were kind of writing him off the board. And then realized they were going to have him for filming, so they had to spend time putting him back in play in those first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then you had then you had the episodes where they're kind of getting back to the whole Chosen, Daniel, setting up that stuff. And then you had the filler episode where they brought back Mike Barnes, the bad boy of karate. Right? So then you get into the real meat and potatoes of the season. So the last 5 episodes were very good. 6 episodes, I guess.
Here's my thing. It's like this. I feel like this is how every season of Cobra Kai is. It's like, yeah, it doesn't start off that well, but just wait for midway through the season, and then it's great. And I'm like, why? I don't have to sit through this. And then I do, like 3 months later, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what happens. It's the same story over and over.
So
yeah, pretty much is.
It's enjoyable. It's a male soap opera. I mean, that's what it is.
It's the new Flash.
So yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5.
PMR,
I'd go to 5 out of 5.
All right.
It's the best show on television.
The show on
The whole
television.
thing is it seemed like they definitely wrapped up a lot. I mean, there's no rivalries right now. I mean, everything's pretty much wrapped up in terms of all the kids and everything. I think season 6 will probably be the last one. I think it's all going to be based on the next Karate Kid movie.
All right. But
No, I think it's going to be that tournament they set up.
Yeah, but I think
5.
all that's going to go into that because that's how you're going to introduce that group that was in that movie, in that 4th movie. That was the military brats that were the karate champs of that.
Yeah, but how old is Michael Ironside at this point?
Well, how old is fucking Martin Cove? I mean, geez, about the same age. So,
Well, we shall see.
So we should see. And,
I give it 4 out of 5.
And the new Karate Kid movie that's being touted about has no connection to the Cobra Kai series, supposedly. So
yeah, and what's wild about that, and I guess this could have been a piece of the news, but yeah, they've announced the new Karate Kid movie, and we don't know if it's a prequel. They're saying it could focus on Mr. Miyagi and Okinawa. It could be something entirely different. Group of characters. We don't know. I feel like it would be kind of foolhardy to just use a Karate Kid name again when you've got all this goodwill about the series. But interestingly, though, because of it, they pushed back Kraven the Hunter. So they gave Karate Kid Kraven the Hunter's release slot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Well, it must already be shooting then, is what I'm thinking. It's probably already shooting.
that or they can. I mean, it's not going to be special effects heavy, so they can probably feel like they can crank it out
They can
faster.
knock it out in a week. That'd be fine.
So,
All right.
yeah.
All right. So Karate or Cobra Kai, finish it. Finish them. She-Hulk. We got She-Hulk. Is it over with? I've kind of fell off.
That's not over.
It's not over.
All right.
It should be.
Alex,
I mean, it's
no one seems to like She-Hulk. What's going on?
Listen, I actually, for the first 5 episodes, I was on board with it. There's something I can, in my brain, I can just turn it off. I've read She-Hulk books. It's just kind of like reading an okay She-Hulk book. It's not like you're reading Cream of the Crop, but it's a 30-minute law comedy. And it stars a big green giant, and with an actress that I think is pulling the role off rather well. For such like a weird character and kind of a niche character, I think She-Hulk has become kind of really popular and kind of cool, and I like the character. It's just like this last episode just sucked. Wow. It was just a nothing episode. Like they literally said in the episode, it's a bottle episode. It's a wedding episode. You're not getting the height of storytelling or anything really game changer. The writing subpar. It's just meh. And like
I don't even think it's subpar. I think the dialogue is just crazy. It's not good at all.
But like any comedy, it's going to be hit or miss with its audience. Obviously, She-Hulk is gunning for a young millennial to Gen Z audience. That's its hit point. And for someone in that group, that works fine. But this last episode was just a nothing burger. And you can kind of see the reactions online were that of the same. But also, they made the mistake of teasing Daredevil in episode 5. And now the thing is that Daredevil's not coming until episode 8. So it's just like, wait for that and then finish the season. I mean, at the very end point, that's what people are wanting out of this show. As much as they're like, this is She-Hulk show. It's become the Daredevil talk. And, it's fine. It's just a fine show. If you want a half-hour show, you'll like it, and you can just go with it.
I don't know if you'll like it. The problem is this is something that should work, right? And it's worked in other formats before. I mean, Harvey Birdman is a funny show. Like the humor doesn't land. The strong part of this movie is they cast extremely well, and she is charismatic and likable. But like the world they built isn't great. The CGI is subpar. The jokes don't really land. Like a lot of the humor is just kind of, it's not biting humor. It's not, but it's not really like, I don't know. It's almost like I would prefer they step back off of some of this quote unquote humor and let her carry the show more, because she is really good. Right.
Well, I was going to say the part that's the suffering is all that courtroom stuff. And I was telling Alex the other day, we were talking about it, instead of making these come out of nowhere superheroes all of a sudden, these people with powers with no explanation, like Titania, and this Mr. Immortal, and that stupid Asgardian thing that was running around there a couple episodes ago. They should have really dealt with like some of the stuff that happened with the blip. I mean, some consequences that came out of the blip, like, all of a sudden you come back and you've got someone living in your house, or you've got, your wife's married to a guy, a different guy. He's got another family. I mean,
or your wife's married. She realizes she's married a Skrull.
Right. Something like that. Exactly. I mean,
it'd be interesting.
There would have been so much stuff that's already established in the Marvel Universe that they could have tackled and kind of answered questions with that people have had over the years since all this, instead of throwing bullshit that's not even funny in there.
Yeah.
It would have been much more entertaining, and they could have been much more funnier, actually, if they would have done it that way.
At the end of the day, this show isn't really, not to put off either of you from watching it. I mean, obviously, you guys are invested in this universe just like everybody else. But obviously, this show was geared towards a younger, female, Gen Z audience. Like that's the talk of the episode.
Yeah, but I don't even think young Gen Z audiences think it's hilarious or anything. I think they think it's
funny is that they are. Like, there are some people, like, how many times I went on Twitter and saw the Mr. Immortal jumping out the window, like, GIF, and they were like, there are people who sincerely enjoy this show, and it's just like, it's just one of these things that's like, it's hit or miss, either or. And I think that's the thing with a lot of these Disney Plus shows. It's like, it's hitting a certain audience really well.
Right. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is what I was going to earlier. MCU, it hit phases 1, 2, and 3. If you look, the audience scores, it hit a much wider swatch of the audience. Yeah. They're settling for, 50% of the audience likes it. 40% of look, the people love this, the Mr. Immortal meme. Who gives a shit about a meme? Like, look, they're posting this meme. I want to see a story. I want a well-rounded, well-thought-out, well-made story like we got in the first 3 phases. If they put out better product, everybody's going to like it. It's not going to be, well, we've got some people that like it, or half the people like it. Half the people liking it, we would have never gotten to Avengers Endgame. We would have never gotten to that movie. So it's just the quality is just not there. And and Feige, I don't know what the hell Feige's doing. He's not overseeing the TV stuff, that's for sure.
I think at the end of the day, you saw phase 4 for Kevin Feige was like summer vacation. It was just like, it's just like no holds bars, drink whatever you want, screw whoever you want, just do whatever the fuck you want. And I think I think even Black Panther's going to show this, that going into phase 5, we're going back to this more everyone can watch tone, more of this like, let's get everyone involved in this, because we're building towards something again. Kind of like, it's not phase 1. I'd say phase 4 is also on the quality of phase 1. It's kind of hit or miss. There's projects you're going to love, and there's projects you're going to just be like, that was fine. But hopefully at the end of the day, I think Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to be the thing that's like Avengers, be the thing that's like, that was great.
Yeah.
We can all get behind this
I hope
go
so.
forward into the next thing. But it's like, I think right now I agree. It's just kind of a jumbled mess. I've liked, I think, a majority of the projects, but that's also because at the end of the day, and to your credit, you did mention this, and it is true. That's like this, like hit or miss. But it's like, and it's not just dumb fun. They are well-crafted stories, but some of them are just dumb fun now. And it's this idea of like, I know what I like, and if it's not what's my cup of tea, I know at the end of the day I can turn my brain off and go watch Miss Marvel or Moon Knight or Falcon Winter Soldier and just have an okay time. Like,
but the thing is, it's the simple things. They're getting the hard stuff wrong, and they're getting it's hard to write this character. It would be hard to translate 60 years of history of XYZ character to and they're going to be in a 30-minute episode. I get that. When you do not care enough to even give the right props to the right people, right? For the Wrecking Crew, when you
I'm still pissed about the Wrecking.
No,
he is mad about the
big oversight. Crew. That's a big oversight. The Wrecking Crew, people wanted. People have asked for the Wrecking Crew for a long time. They're a well-established team and of villains in the MCU. And so when they cast these guys that look like they look like grips from the TV show, one guy's from craft servicing, another is a grip, the best boy is playing Thunderball, and they didn't even bother checking which weapons they picked up off the props table. I mean, come on, what the fuck?
What I will say is, I do think that obviously the Wrecking Crew introduction was absolutely ridiculous. But what I will say is, I think they're setting them up to get an upgrade down the line.
Maybe.
I think I don't think that was just their one and only appearance. I think the whole point of the show, obviously, is that they want She-Hulk's blood. Obviously, I think they're going to get it, and we're going to see a lot more super jacked people in the MCU just rolling about. I think the Wrecking Crew is going to be some of them. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're right. I think this show has been poorly show run. It didn't have a clear vision, and it turned into just a kind of a half-assed, half-hour comedy that just didn't even have anything going for it. Besides that first episode, which I really, really, really loved.
I like the first episode. I agree.
Here's the problem we've run into, and this is the putting it in on a finite point to it. We went from the promise of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1. And that was the promise we were given with all these MCU TV shows. And now the first 2 series were well plotted, right? Well thought out, and they put their A game in. Now we're in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2 and season 3. And now it doesn't matter anymore. It's unconnected to the rest of the MCU. Nobody's watching what's happening in these writer rooms. Nobody is the overseeing the television end of it. And what's wild is they have Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb has done this for Marvel for years.
Yeah.
Let him oversee it if Feige doesn't want to.
But Kevin Feige hates Jeff Loeb. He hates him. We've seen that time and time again. And I think that does. You hit the nail on the head with that. Is even though I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of prospers and actually does better with season 2 and 3 and 4, I think that show actually finds its stride there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's when things kind of they became far more disconnected and far more loosely based, and it's all right, you kind of just let it go.
And in all actuality, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a lot better show than most of these damn Disney Plus shows that are coming on.
I would say that. I've enjoyed most of them. I think for me, the lacking ones are What If, She-Hulk, and maybe Miss Marvel. But I also I enjoyed a lot of Miss Marvel. There's a lot
Miss Marvel was
She-Hulk.
okay.
I know what they were trying to do. They're just trying to make a simple comedy sitcom, and it's just not funny. No, we cannot. We're in a world right now that you can't be funny anymore. You can't say anything. So comedy kind of sucks. So you can't really do comedy anymore.
Yeah,
So-
I think also the hard part Marvel's getting at right now is it's kind of Disney-ified. It's kind of in Star Wars to the point where you can't really say anything in these projects. You kind of just have to you kind of have to adhere to a corporate guidance of like, okay, this is allowed, but this isn't allowed. This is allowed, but this isn't allowed.
Right.
And it's
but then also the movies are such big productions. The movies are what are actually driving revenue, and they can't really dive into any characters that might actually end up in a movie
somewhere else.
deserve a movie almost.
Well, they can, they have, and they will because Miss Marvel's going to be in a movie, and Captain
No, I'm
Marvel's
talking
gonna be
about
in a
like
movie.
supporting characters or having plot points. All of these shows have to wrap up into a nice finite bow at the end of the season,
So that you don't have to watch them in order to see the next movie.
right? So you don't feel you don't. They're so by design they're disposable, right?
Like,
Well-
there's no one that came out of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and was like, "This is necessary TV." I think if you're really looking at it, the only one of them that I think is necessary, but hasn't even been proven to be necessary, but just like based off like what we know is the layout, is I think Loki's probably the only one that's like necessary viewing. Like you should probably watch Loki in order to keep track with everything.
No, I don't think they want you to be necessary. I think it's not necessary viewing. I think it's kind of like it goes back to the whole Marvel comics back in the day where they used to have limited series. You didn't have to read the limited series to find out what was going to happen in Falcon, later on in Avengers or what have you. But if you like the character, you read the series. It never,
But see, that's the
it
thing.
would have a life-changing thing on his life, but
at the end of the day, PMR.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, PMR. Who remembers that limited series?
But who remembers the show? It's just the thing that if you like these shows, if you like this character, and like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, instead of it's kind of brilliant what they're doing. Instead of introducing them in a movie that no one's ever going to go see,
But
they go ahead and give you they go ahead and tell you their origin. They introduce them in this TV show, and then next thing you know, they're going to pop up in a movie like Miss Marvel is, or Captain Marvel is, because you've seen them in WandaVision and you've seen them in Miss Marvel's TV show. So when you do see them in this movie, you're going to be like, oh, I remember them. And if you don't, you can go back and watch those.
Here's the thing, though, PMR. At the end of the day, I think Moon Knight and Miss Marvel are both bigger characters than Shang-Chi, and yet people loved that movie. People went out in droves to see that movie. Like, of the pandemic, at its point in the pandemic, Shang-Chi was the highest grossing movie of pandemic history.
It was the first blockbuster released after the pandemic.
Well, no, Black Widow was. Black Widow tanked.
But Black Widow was released over the summer when many states were still in lockdown.
And Black Widow was released at the same time on Disney Plus.
So you had Black Widow, you had Snake Eyes. There were blockbusters coming out that weren't even going to digital immediately. Like Snake Eyes didn't go to digital, but Shang-Chi proved to be the first one that actually people went out to see, that they were interested in seeing. It did something in Hollywood that was like, oh, okay, people actually like this. I think you're seeing that course correction in Marvel where it's like, oh, people actually do want to see these lesser-known characters and will, as long as we put in effort in our product. I know there's not – I think me and PM are the only people who like Shang-Chi, but to the same time, like, a lot of people like that movie. It's one of the most well-received of this phase, and to me, it's in the better of the, like kind of – I forgot the term, origin story type MCU movies. I really liked it. I had a great time.
Can we go back a second to something PMR said I want to make a point about? Because he said that back in the day, Marvel would do these limited series. And they did. They would do a limited series. And so you'd have a 6-issue series with the Falcon. And if you liked the character, great. But you didn't have to read it to understand Captain America or the Avengers, right?
Right.
Here's the problem with that. That should provide freedom, not... So now they're saying, oh, you've got the freedom to do this character and it's a limited series. Oh, but it can't touch anything that might be in a film. So they aren't just getting to go in and tell a story with that from a free perspective because it's a character that's not going to be in a film or anything like that. So it should be, if it's like a limited series, that's where you had a chance to people to try out new stuff. And if it stuck and people liked it, then you would see it in the Avengers or you would see it in Captain America, right? Correct. But they were provided the freedom to open up the concept and play around with the character and see if they could make this character more interesting. That's not what we're getting. We're getting these characters, and it's like anything that could interestingly happen to these characters, save it for a movie.
Yeah.
So we got Falcon and Winter Soldier, where he became Captain America.
But Endgame already set that up. If you Falcon
they
Winter Soldier,
set it up, but you didn't really see it.
But it doesn't.
He handed him the shield. Like if he handed him the shield
back. So
but
in the TV show. In the TV show, he gave it back.
But you don't have to
fleshed out the character now. Now, instead of just next time you see him and he's already got the shield he's fighting, you see that he had this moment that he didn't feel like he was right for Captain America and that he didn't feel like he deserved to be Captain America.
Right, but
neither did the rest of neither did the U.S. government.
But that's if you want to see that. That's if you want to see that. But
exactly,
you can go.
You don't have to see it. You don't have to see it. You can go ahead and you can say he's already Captain America, so it kind of flows. You don't have to read. You don't have to read that miniseries. You don't have to watch that show.
But what Brian's saying is that at the end of the day, the thing of the show is that the thing with the shows is that none of them really matter. You're not really doing anything important in the shows to try to transform these characters. They're just the same the entire time. And you may get one thing that's different, like you get Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, Falcon.
Which I loved. I loved that show. That was great. That was a great show.
Loki becomes a weird time cop. Like, you get these changes, but at the end of the day, none of them are affecting the movies you're seeing. WandaVision obviously did not affect Doctor Strange at all. It did not.
But it didn't affect it. But you understood a lot more where Wanda was coming from. Because if you would have just saw Wanda going nuts in Doctor Strange, you would be a little confused at where these kids come from and stuff. I mean, you could probably figure it out, but you still needed WandaVision to try to, okay, she created these kids. This is the whole thing. Maybe. I mean, so you got that. I mean,
but what's funny is I went with a friend who hadn't seen WandaVision when I went and saw Doctor Strange, and I hated that movie. It's my least favorite movie of the year, and they loved it. They had a great time.
I liked Doctor Strange. I didn't think it was that bad of a movie.
I hated it.
I hate that movie. But it's that to me is the worst of Phase 4. That's worse than Black Widow and Eternals.
God, no way. There's no way that Black Widow is the stupidest fucking thing.
Doctor Strange is a big old floating turd.
Oh my God, y'all are insane.
All right. Well, other TV
haters
news,
gonna hate.
I got one. I got a couple actually.
What other?
Quantum Leap debuted this week.
Oh God, no. You know how many times let me, before you get into it, I want to say this little story. That trailer had popped up on my YouTube maybe 100 times in the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't watch it. I was like, I don't give a shit. And then one time I decided to sit through it. That is the worst looking piece of television I have seen in a long time. It looks like shit. So please tell me it was, so I feel validated.
It's got some pluses and some major minuses to it. So
I feel validated.
Essentially, the Quantum Leap, when they came out in the late 80s, early 90s, you really only had Al and Sam Beckett, right? And Al was in the current timeline, and he was the tether for Sam back to Earth, while Sam was jumping, in and out of bodies, right, and correcting things that went wrong, right, correcting the timeline. And Al would reference Ziggy, which was like a supercomputer, but you never saw, other than the very first episode, they allude to the laboratory where this all started and where Al goes to when the hologram disappears. So you never saw it. With this reboot, you're seeing the lab. There's like a whole supporting cast at the lab. You see Ziggy, the supercomputer. You see Ben, who's the guy that's jumping now instead of Sam, you see his girlfriend is actually the owl, but he doesn't remember any of it. You see like a whole supporting cast of characters, and there's a B plot about why did Ben jump when he knew the machine wasn't ready. So that stuff's pretty interesting. I mean, and there's more world building in this than there ever was in the old Quantum Leap show. The old Quantum Leap show, though, the strength was just the character and the charisma of, oh my God, Scott Bakula, right? And the guy that played Al, Dean Stockwell, right? So, and with Quantum Leap, it was basically an anthology. You had the overarching, you knew it was Sam, but you were introduced to a new set of characters and a new problem and a new era in a new part of the country, every week. So it's not terrible. It's not great. It has promise. Like if we can get through this and get into a little bit more of the world building, some of the mystery as to why Ben actually jumped, well, it could be pretty interesting. I don't know how well it's been received. I don't know how many people are watching it. So it may just be another one of those, okay, we got 4 episodes, nothing was resolved, and it's canceled. So I'm interested to see where they could take it. At the same time, there's some characters that need to just be cut. So
I want to see it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I haven't seen it. Has episode 2 come out yet?
Episode 2 was on tonight. So yeah, I'd be interested for you to watch it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. I really did like the first one.
God, I love Quantum Leap.
Good series.
So yeah, so I watched Quantum Leap, and Alex, because I know you're going to talk about House of Dragons.
I haven't watched the last episode. That's on my viewing tonight.
That's where the time jump happens. Yeah. Right. So, but I'm watching Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power.
Yep, that's my thought.
What'd you say, Alex?
Big snooze fest. I think he just fell asleep. He just
that show sucks.
Ouch.
Have you watched it?
I have every 5 episodes of it. I hate it.
Wow, really?
I do not like it one bit. It lost me at episode 2, and episode 3, 4, and 5 just cemented it in my brain.
Where did it lose you at? What's not clicking?
The title.
Episode 3 lost me big time. I really, my biggest problem is I actually don't mind the story they're telling. The problem I have is I feel like it's so bloated for no reason. And the dialogue is, I know it's the Tolkien-esque dialogue, but when people say that, it's like, it's not really. Whenever I watch Lord of the Rings, Frodo and Samwise, I feel their connection right at the bat. The dialogue is very heartfelt, sincere, and you get a lot of emotion out of it, even with that very flowery language that's so
especially when they dance around
but it's like this show, everyone sucks to listen to. And the one black character they have is a fucking slave right now, and I'm like, this is what you do with your cool elf character, the only character I liked in 1 and 2, and he's like a fucking slave to orcs, and I'm like, this feels weird.
That was only in 1 episode.
Yeah, but it turned me off. And then episode 4 and 5 were just like, okay, sure. I guess where I think I can see the interest being is with the stranger. I think that gets a lot of caption. But I think Galadriel, the actress there, is dull. And I think for the most part, the dialogue's uninspired. But again, a gorgeous show and a plot that's not that bad, but with just a bunch of unlikable people. They're just so unlikable. The kids are annoying. The stranger is kind of cool, but at the same time, you're like, just get to the fucking point. And then Galadriel sucks, and she's your lead of the show, and it's like, you're just kind of whiny and kind of brattish, and I don't like you at all.
Wow.
But I'm glad you like it. That's not to say that I think you're wrong in liking it, but it's not my cup of tea.
What I was going to say was, if you watch this and then watch House of Dragons, you can tell the production value is much higher for Rings of Power.
I mean,
when you're seeing a city scene and there's 50 extras in the shot versus most of House of Dragons is set inside a castle and there's 2 to 3 people on screen at a time, at most like 6.
Well,
so
what's weird is you're talking about House of Dragons is still a $10 million show. This is per episode. This is a $60 million an episode show that with marketing goes up to $1 billion.
They've said that Lord of the Rings is that budget's overstated. It's more than House of Dragons for sure, but they're saying the 60 million is an overstatement. But you've got basically the criticism it's getting is they've taken the whole timeline of the Silmarillion and squashed it into all these events happening at the same time, which they didn't in the books, right? But you've got Galadriel, you've got Elrond. You didn't like the interaction between Elrond and Durin?
Not really.
Oh wow! See, I liked Elrond and Durin a lot. Or especially just Durin.
I thought it was okay. I think the characters are just already lost on me, you know.
And then you realize that in Numenor, the guy that got kicked out of the Royal Navy was Isildur, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then the stranger, you don't know if the stranger is actually Sauron returned or if he's a wizard.
Yeah.
Like like Gandalf and Saruman and all. So you don't know. I think they're wanting you to think he's a wizard, and he may end up being Sauron at the end.
Yeah,
but
I'm leaning toward he's Sauron. It's just here's the thing. I think with this show and why personally I'm loving House of the Dragon. I didn't watch Game of Thrones when it was coming out weekly, but I'm watching House of the Dragon when it's coming out weekly, and I love it. I'm having such a good time every week. Like, I think it's so well made, so well crafted. And my problem with this show is it's just so like loveless. Like where I think the films go so right, and it's the perfect amount of childlike charm with this adult ability about it. This show just feels like a PG, like, Lord of the Rings adventure. And it's like, where's like the actual gore of this? Where's the hardship? Never there. It always feels like it's like put back just a little bit. You don't really get to see any of that meaningful gore.
Well, that's the thing is this is the rise of Sauron, right? So you're seeing Middle Earth before everything goes to shit. That's the whole promise of this show is, as Ron walks on a treadmill, we can all hear that.
Oh, can you? Oh.
Yeah. Like, the promise of the show is everything's going to turn to shit. And I really liked the fact when she thought, again, we can still hear it. Can you mute?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing that.
Yeah. Oh, no. But the fact that she kept thinking that sigil was Sauron, and you actually realize it's Mordor. Yeah. It's Mordor and the ridge line around Mordor, the mountain pass around Mordor. So I'm digging it.
I'm glad.
It's a deep cut into a lot of the Tolkien stuff, right? I do feel like the passion's there because, like, just the quality of it. Galadriel can be obnoxious, but I think she's supposed to be obnoxious. I think that's part of the point.
But I wish someone would just call her out on her shit. It feels like they do and they don't. It's like I don't feel her ever learning anything. It's like I feel like the cast keeps calling her out on shit, and then it's like, but she just does the same shit anyways, and it's annoying to me.
But see, that's the thing is, I think that's gonna they're doing it for a reason. I think that's gonna pay off because she's gonna suffer like a major loss, setback, whatever it is. She's going to eat her humble sandwich before it's all said and done. But
listen, I want this show to succeed. While Lord of the Rings isn't necessarily my cup of tea, I adore those movies and the production design. Everything about them is astounding and such a triumphant feat. And I want the show to be on that level. And to me, it's not there yet. It's not even on Fellowship of the Ring level yet. Like, it's like, And of course, that's probably everyone's least favorite Lord of the Rings movie. Not that it's not great, but that's just kind of there. And it's just like, we're not to that quality yet. And I'm like, when is the writing going to take a step up and just like really push something that's really like, we're going for it. We're doing it. We're going to get you invested. We're going to make you care. And I haven't gotten that yet. And I'm like, well, I'm sticking around because it's the most expensive series ever made, but we're just not there to the point of me like really caring about it yet.
Here's the thing with I guess this is the other thing that I'm enjoying about it is Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ is in there?
No, why are you on this treadmill right now?
He's going to walk it off. Walk off that drink.
I thought I muted it.
You have not muted it.
You got to turn off the microphone thing, not the sound thing.
So, for me, I like all the Easter egg sort of stuff, like the tower, the forge they're wanting to build. You realize that's going to be Sauron's stronghold, right?
Yeah.
And then when you realize that the sigil was actually the Southlands, which will become Mordor.
Yeah,
when it's all said and done, right?
It's cool lore.
The origin of Mithril and why they're trying to get the Mithril, but also the Mithril thing is going to be why the divide between the elves and the dwarfs got so bad, right? Mm-hmm. The fight over the Mithril. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, I say check it out.
I'm glad someone I know is, honestly. Honest to God. You're the first person I met. And I'm so glad that this show is actually appealing to somebody. Because then I feel bad for Amazon at the end of the day. They've spent so much money on this show.
Well, it's got Rotten Tomatoes. It's got an 86.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, don't worry, darling. It's gorgeous. It is so pretty to watch. Like, it is. That's probably why I turn it on every week. It's fucking gorgeous to look at. But man, I just need it to be a little better in the writing department. Just a little better.
It's no Cobra Kai, but
it's no Cobra Kai. PMR.
Uh-oh. I think we've lost some people here. Hold on. Let me see if I can get them back. They're slowly. Yeah, we. I don't know what happened. We lost everybody there for a second.
I think you did. We were able to hear each other.
Yeah, Brad's hanging up the call. He's like,
I think I may be losing power.
Yeah. So, Alex, you need to watch Reboot on Hulu. It's Keegan-Michael Key, Judy Greer, Johnny Knoxville, Paul Reiser, Rachel Bloom. But it's basically they had a TV show in the 90s, kind of like one of the old TGIF shows in the 90s. And Keegan-Michael Key's character is almost like the Urkel of the show. Like, but it was called like Step by Step, I think is what it's called. But it's anyway.
That was a real show.
Anyway, it's something about basically Keegan-Michael Key's character marries Judy Greer's character, but her ex-husband's still in the mix. Like I think he lives in the house with them, and they've got a kid together. But so it's a reboot. So it's a little bit 30 Rock, right? And so you got this it's a clash between the daughter of the Rachel Bloom's character is trying to relaunch the show. Paul Reiser owns the rights because he was the original producer of the show. And so he's wanting to bring in old school, like, yuckity yuck writers and punch up the scripts with like more, that type of humor. She's trying to write stuff that's more meta in the script writing. But then you got all the stuff, all the drama with the actors and everything, because they all have history together. I enjoyed it a lot. It's very good.
Yeah, I did want to see it. It did look good. The previews of it looked really good. So
reboot on Hulu.
To the list.
And then a quick shout out. Alex, did you watch Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor?
I turned it on. I didn't finish it though.
What is that?
I finished Hill House and I'm on Bly Manor now. So there's
the haunted house.
Yeah, it's a haunted house show.
Yeah.
So the first one is they carry it's two anthologies. Like they're two totally different, but they carry over some of the same actors into playing different characters in season 2. But Bly Manor's pretty good. Hill House kind of finished. It was a dud towards the end.
Kind of like Hill House always does.
Yeah. So, but Bly Manor has started off pretty well. So that's my first foray into my Halloween viewing for the year.
Well, it's not even October yet, guys. So, we still got like 4 days.
Whatever. It's October.
It's October.
I've watched House of the Dragon. Of course, I don't know if y'all talked about it week by week. I haven't watched the newest episode. It's just great. I think it's probably the best series to watch on television right now. It's brought back that like week-to-week viewing, and I really enjoy that. Like, I really enjoy turning it on every Sunday night. But what I've binged 2 shows. I've binged Industry on HBO Max, which is about like a London banking firm, but it is stellar. It is so well written. It's like Mad Men, but in the modern day. I mean, it is like top tier TV. It is so good. I couldn't recommend it enough. Like, the first episode will just hook you in so bad, and by the end of season 2, you're like, what the fuck? I would say it's even better than Succession, which is like a great show.
Succession. I've been talking about how great Succession is.
Brian, I think you'd love Industry. It is so well made. It's so well good. So good.
Talking about dialogue, like the weak dialogue and writing in She-Hulk and the weak dialogue in Clerks, Succession's dialogue is fantastic. It's so good. Like,
imagine Succession's dialogue, but like not better, but like just like maybe a hint better than it. Like, Industry is so good, and it doesn't get any award nominations, but it's insanely well done. Like, it's ridiculously well done. It just doesn't get the credit it deserves. And then I've watched Minx on HBO Max, which is about the female gaze in the male pornography industry. It's really fun too. It's a 70s show with Jake Johnson from New Girl and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's a really, really fun show. If you don't mind looking at a lot of penises, there are a lot of penises.
Jesus Christ.
Come on.
But if you're willing to look past that, it's a wonderful show. It's really clever. It's really fun. Half-hour comedy. It's really
some
good.
might say that's the draw. What's the downside, Alex?
Yeah, why do you say I got to look past the wieners?
Listen, if you like the wieners, you like the wieners. That's your prerogative, and I support you in it. But
come for the wieners, stay for the comedy.
it is. If you're looking
for the wieners.
If you're looking for a not safe for work like comedy, something to watch either by yourself or with your wife, when the kids are in bed.
Wait for your wife to go to bed, and then you can watch it.
Your browsing history after you've watched it.
It's a really funny
your
show.
wife and your kids are in bed. If you want to
listen, this became a
draw the curtains first.
This became a watch with me and my girlfriend, and we've had a really fun time.
Stop.
You come for the comedy, and she comes for the penises.
It is good. I never finished it, but I watched about most of the season. It was good.
It's really, really fun. It's a really fun show. HBO Max is just killing it, guys. Like, if you want to watch something good, just go to HBO Max. Everything.
That was my first stop. Like when we wrapped up Succession, and we're like, what are we going to watch? I pulled up and I was like, should I start Industry?
No.
But that's why we went with Bly Manor, just because it was Halloween. But yeah, my go-to first is normally HBO Max when I'm looking to start a new show.
Go with Industry. I promise you won't regret it. It is truly like a masterpiece in writing and everything. It's just a really sexy show.
Sexier than Minx?
Honestly, yeah. Minx is just funny, man. It's just a funny show.
Well, as we're approaching the 2-hour mark,
I know.
Brad's giving us the bell. He's playing the music.
What do we have to look forward to next week? As we're on the road to 200, might I remind you guys that you got to stretch this shit out. We can't just all talk about every fucking TV show right now. We got to stretch it out.
That's true. That's true.
One more Cobra Kai season 3.
Yeah, we can talk one more episode about Cobra Kai, and that's it. PMR.
Smile comes out next weekend. Also, Lyle Crocodile comes out in 2 weeks.
I want to watch Confess Fletch.
Yeah, give John Hamster some money. That poor fella.
Billy Eichner's Bros comes out this weekend.
Ooh, no.
What is it?
But
It does indeed. And then next week we have Triangle of Sadness, which is one of my most anticipated of the year.
Wow. Well, Alex is going to be busy.
Yeah, I got a lot I want to watch.
yeah, I've Confess Fletch is getting really good reviews, and in fact, you know what? I've decided, and I've heard that the books were always different than the Chevy Chase Fletch films we got, and so I've gone back there and I'm reading the first Fletch book. It's very good. He's more smarmy than, I'm a master of disguise. Yeah.
He's more smarmy than charmy.
It's more smarmy than charmy.
Okay.
So it's it's almost a little Norrish with some of the stuff that happens. So, but I've heard Confess Fletch is really good, so I'll be seeing that. I'll have a review for it next time we all come together.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think I've been reading Of Mice and Men. If you want to.
No, you haven't been reading it. You've been listening to it on Audible because I just saw the thing.
No, look right here.
He's supplementing it with the audio.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right.
I'll watch the movie.
Now I'll listen to it and watch the movie.
All the books I have to read.
Whoa.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
Going through one by
one.
Are
they all on Audible?
Who has time for that shit?
They're all on Audible. So I'm getting back into my reading grind.
There you go.
All right. PMR, anything for you for next other than walking those drinks off?
Yep. Cobra Kai season 3.
All right.
God damn it.
And Walking Dead will be back.
This has become the new Flash. It's we're going to give our Cobra Kai update.
There were more episodes of Flash to talk about. We just keep talking about the same thing.
True.
Yeah.
It's the Cobra Kai retrospective.
No, yeah.
He went from Bosch every week to Cobra Kai every week.
Cobra Kai Corner, man.
We should definitely do a Cobra Kai retrospective next week. But until then,
do a retrospective.
Save it for the podcast.
Oh, I had a whole thing I was going to go in on. Cobra